Hey, let's see. It's about to be 11 o'clock at night. Still at the office. I've been here for way too long. Anyways, just gonna kind of, I guess, take you through this wild night. Really helping out a friend of mine with some branding, doing that. So I've been doing a lot of branding lately, which is not a bad thing because I really enjoy doing it. Anyways, they brought up some food. Shot a video with him to help him get a little launch. He's actually launching a church. This is new for me. We're branding a church. It's new for him. It's exciting. He's only been associate pastor. Anyways, story for another day. I shot everything and edited all on the iPad real fast. It was a real cool thing. Just want to kind of give you a little glimpse on the iPad here with the iPadOS and show you how I'm kind of using it and stuff like that. It's been pretty awesome. So yeah, let's move over there real fast. Let me unmount the camera. This is what we got going on.
You want me to take a look at it now?
So edit it. iPad's pretty sick. Alright guys, so welcome to my overview of essentially iPadOS 13. It's in its current form. I think I'm on developer beta 3. I never switched over to the public beta, I guess. And kind of a little review of the 11-inch iPad Pro itself. So I've kind of been running the iPad 11-inch Pro here as my daily driver for a while. Mainly originally I bought it as a designer, so the design side of it. So one, illustrations and artwork on that end because I love doing like comic art and stuff, but also tapping into Affinity Design a little bit and attempting some workflows with logo design or shirt design, like print design, things like that, and using it to kind of prototype, wireframe some stuff out. So mainly as a designer and more as a productivity tool, just some general web stuff I got to do in school. But recently I got extremely excited and I was hoping Apple would do something like this with their new iPadOS update. So finally, all the things that everyone had been wanting and stuff finally came true. And I was hoping they would because with the introduction of the USB-C port. But let me talk about some of its benefits for a little bit. So one, the size. The reason why I love the iPad so much and I jumped to it was because of the size, right? So it's 11 inches, pretty portable. It doesn't take up as much room inside my backpack because it's 11 inches, whereas before I had to try to make room for the MacBook and a charger. I hate not using a mouse, things like that. This is built for touch, this is different. So all those things that just took up room in my bag, which I didn't really have room for. Another thing is battery life, right? So one, I was rocking a pretty old MacBook, mainly because I didn't put too much emphasis on the laptop since I had already built a really powerful desktop. So it was kind of that weird thing where I couldn't justify spending money on a spec'd out laptop. And so battery life on this has been excellent. So that older MacBook kind of sucked. I can probably barely use it for maybe an hour before it died on a full charge. It lived on the charger, so it's kind of useless on that end if I was trying to be really portable. But with some of the new features here, the Apple Pencil is really cool. I love how it uses a magnet to charge now and it stays there. Doesn't get lost like the other one. The form factor, super nice. I love the way the design looks, all that fun stuff. Yes, there's a Grind logo on there. So that's kind of the iPad itself. Everyone already knows about the hardware. I'm sure you've heard about that plenty of times. It's extremely powerful. Screen is beautiful, really color accurate. 120 Hz display. It's amazing. I can't go back. Now to look at 60 Hz screens or iPads, anything like that, it looks terrible. I'm used to the butteriness and it's really welcome here. But the biggest thing with iPadOS is some of the new accessory support. So one of the biggest thing is the hard drive. So people have been asking that for so long. I was asking for that. I hated using the wireless solution of the WD external hard drives. It was always a little finicky and kind of weird trying to jump back and forth using an app as a middleman with it. It sucked. I didn't like it. So now I can just use this nice little 500 gig portable SSD, plugs in USB-C. It's perfect, fast, it's exactly what I need. And I can keep my projects organized a lot better because now the file management is starting to get more like actual Finder on a Mac. One thing I do love is that it is USB-C. So I only have to keep one, maybe two chargers on me, and it's just USB-C. So my phones use it. I use Pixel 2 and 3, one for work, one for more personal stuff. My EOS R also uses the same USB-C connection, and then now the iPad does. So it's just less stuff on me, less clutter, less thinking about something, and all my stuff uses the same connection. So gotta love USB-C. And then with that, you're able to use SD cards a lot nicer now, flash drives, just regular old portable hard drives as well. Anything that really takes advantage of this USB-C port. And this also carries over into some of the previous iPads as well with the Lightning, as long as you have a dongle for that. Another thing too that's kind of unsupported, or it's not that's supported but not to the normal extent, is the mouse. I want to really jump into that a little bit. It's a welcome. I do like it, but I haven't really used it too much because it's still like mimicking touch, not like an actual mouse. So I'll kind of talk about my workflow a little bit. So typically, like I mentioned, I'm a designer. I also do a bunch of illustrations and stuff like that and graphic art. I also do photography, videography, and I'm a full stack designer, so I do a lot of UI, UX, and front-end development. So I'll talk about each of the workflows a little bit and how this kind of fits my needs and how it doesn't replace my desktop and I don't want it to replace my desktop. So for the photo side, it's fairly easy. Lightroom on here is great. I haven't bought into Adobe or Affinity Photo yet because Photoshop should be around the corner, I hope, by the time you're watching this video at least. So July of 2019. And then I shoot on a USR, so it's pretty easy. The USB-C to USB-C plugs right in. I can grab those photos off the camera, or I can pop in an SD card reader, same thing, and grab those photos off the camera that way. The file management here is really nice. If I would come in from my desktop or something and had files on there to work on, I can easily throw them on the external hard drive, pop that into here, use whatever I needed to use, pull it off if I needed to, and that's fine. Lightroom on here is perfectly capable, is like about 98% as capable as the one on, well, more like 90%, just kidding, is that full desktop version. And so that workflow is pretty, it's pretty simple right there, and it worked decently with iOS 12 as well. Just I had to use the Photos app to manage some stuff, which was kind of annoying sometimes. But for video editing, it's where things are a lot better because now I can actually manage the projects a lot easier, offload them from the hard drive onto the iPad itself a little bit. Because I use LumaFusion, LumaFusion doesn't quite use or read off the external drive yet. I wish it would, because I wouldn't have to actually use a storage in here, mainly because I only bought the 64 gig version because I couldn't really break the bank at the time. But so far I've never filled up the space on there or gone past it. And typically I'm shooting YouTube videos and stuff, and I don't really ever get that big. And if I do get that big on footage, well, normally I'm hopping over my desktop and a more comfortable workflow anyways. But LumaFusion is pretty great. I get all the color grading, all that fun stuff in there. So no biggie there. This is not a LumaFusion review. I'm just letting you know how it kind of fits my needs a little bit. And as you saw at the beginning of the video, I had filmed a little short video for a buddy of mine who's opening up a church. I already explained that, and you saw I was using LumaFusion. It works great, and it really speeds up the workflow on that end. I can just edit it for him right there. We can figure it out, deliver it, and then he can do what he needed to do with the video. So it's pretty good in terms of that. As the iPad is super fun to use. Like, I'd much rather take this out and do some light reading on it, scrolling web browsing, rather than pulling out a laptop or dealing with a smaller phone screen sometimes. So I get a lot more use out of this than I did with my laptop, even though I have my laptop with me all the time. It was just really big and bulky and cumbersome, and this completely takes that problem away. So for general productivity, thankfully they put in full desktop Safari now, so we can really use those full desktop sites, because it's always frustrating me going into tablet mode. I can upload videos to YouTube. I can manage with the YouTube Creative, or the Creator Suite. I think that's what it's called. Look at that, I don't even know the own platform. Just all the other general web browsing works really well. I can do stuff with InVision now, perfectly fine, thankfully. And so that's how I kind of use it here, and I take it with me to meetings, and if I have like strategy sessions and stuff, and use Keynote on here to do all that and create proposals or PDFs, it's great. So I don't have to always be on my desktop to do something, because my work days are kind of crazy. It goes from 8 a.m. getting here to the office, leaving at about 5 to 6 p.m., and then jumping over into the coffee shop to about 9, 10 p.m. And then once that part of my day is done, I'll either go to the gym or go home because I need to do some more work. So that's where this comes in handy. So now I talked a little bit about my workflow. It's not all glory, right? There's still a little bit of downside, some things to kind of work on. One of them is for me, it can't fit the bill completely for a laptop just due to there's one thing it's kind of missing, and it's not the iPad's fault. It's more of the program I use. So when I'm doing a lot of my front end work, I switched over to Webflow to use that now because of how much more efficient that is and how much easier it is for me to design code rather than write it. If you know what Webflow is, if not, no biggie. Anyways, it's a browser-based app, and it's kind of weird with touch. It doesn't work completely, it kind of crashes. It could be due to the beta version of iOS. It could also be due to Webflow not liking it. It's probably a bit of both. So if it had that, then I can probably like say it 100% can replace laptop for me. For now, it still can, and it doesn't need to do while I'm away from my desk or home where my computer is. But there's that. And like I tacked on a little bit too, or like I talked about a little bit earlier, is the mouse support. It's kind of a weird version of supporting it, and they make it really hard to access it because they're not trying to push it on people yet. So it might be coming in a later version of iOS, who knows, like full support. We can always just cross our fingers and hope it doesn't. Sometimes it is kind of weird just having one port because I'm trying to do multiple things at a time. Like sometimes I would like to go from the camera to the hard drive kind of thing. So bringing it in, take it out, plug the thing back in, and all that. But it's not terrible, and I actually saw that there was this thing that came out that I want to look at buying, and it attaches to here, and then it fits in real nicely with the design of the iPad, and it just attaches to the side, and it has a couple of dongles in there. So like I think 2 USB-C Thunderbolt, I think a USB-A, and a headphone jack actually, which is pretty cool because I don't even think there is one on this iPad. No, there's not. I use wireless headphones anyway, so not a big deal. That's probably why I never noticed. And another nice little side note is actually working with iPadOS 13 and some other benefits that came out with macOS Catalina, I think it's called. Kind of makes me want to switch or get a MacBook a little bit as well for some of my work because of how easily it integrates in with the MacBook, like using the second monitor and stuff. Right now I have that covered with Duet. I use it as sometimes a reference monitor when I'm color grading because I know it's really accurate with P3. And I'll use it for drawing itself, kind of replace the Wacom tablet a little bit because I like seeing the screen there. Sometimes it makes me want to switch, so maybe in the future I'll do a Hackintosh or something and virtual dual boot it. Anyways, not necessarily a tech channel per se, but I do love my tech. Alright guys, so the conclusion. I talked a little bit about the benefits of the iPad and the iPad itself, how it does with the new iPadOS, how I use it, some of the downfalls a little bit. Not many, but you know there are some, mainly because it's probably still in beta form. So for me, this can replace a laptop, and it is a laptop replacement for me. With things like the applications that have been coming out, it's really powerful. The screen is freaking really accurate. It's amazing. It can replace my laptop and has replaced my laptop, and now is my mobile editing station. It won't replace my desktop, probably ever. And I don't want it to replace my desktop because that is meant to handle a lot bigger workloads, easier, faster, and bigger development things rather than this. And of course gaming as well, right? You can do some crazy gaming stuff, building those out and 3D renderings, things like that. And that's what the desktop's for, so it won't replace that. I don't want it to. But it fits my lifestyle, so still kind of finishing up college here and there, so I'm normally traveling around a lot doing stuff, have to do stuff with school. I work a lot, do a lot of stuff with the grind and manage that stuff. So I'm on the go a lot smaller, lighter, more portable, easy to handle ergonomically. So there's that benefit there for me as well. It's just crazy to think how a software update did this big of a change for a device like that. Normally it's incremental stuff like maybe performance improvement, bug fixes, things like that. I've never seen something like a software update do this much of a change to the device and make it that much more capable. So kudos to Apple on that one, even though sometimes it's kind of frustrating with how reserved y'all are. Anyways guys, hopefully you got a little bit out of this and it gives you a little more confidence if you do purchase an iPad, or maybe some things to come in the future from Apple. It looks like there's a lot of cool stuff coming from them. I'm normally not an Apple fanboy, I'm pretty PC and Android guy, but I have to give them credit where credit is due because this is a great software update and a great device that hopefully they can improve upon even more because it looks like the future is pretty bright. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, let me know if it helped out, and if there's any other questions or specific things that you might want to know, let me know and I can see if I can answer them or if I've had experience with it already and let you know. So, Peace, guys. It's Monday. I'm gonna go drink like 3 more cups of coffee because it's already been a long day.